Right. To continue on with the mid 80s through the late 80s. The mid 80s was a great time for the mini-series. Lots of incredible stuff happening at that time. Rocket Raccoon. I just sold my best set here recently during the liquidation of the collection. But, excuse me, too much coffee. A great, super fun series with incredible art by Mike Mignola. The Long Shot, six-issue miniseries by Arthur Adams. Just incredible. The Punisher miniseries. Yeah, well, that was a great reading. Fantastic books to pull off the rack. Something else I remember that I'll touch on here briefly in the mid-80s, 84, 85, around that time, I first heard of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had kind of just come back into collecting in 1984 after a year's layoff from 1983. And was reading the Comic Buyer's Guide and saw this heat that this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book was generating. And I remember, again, my local comic shop, Pat, telling me that he was getting in a case of this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 third print. So when they actually hit the stands, and I don't remember if it was 84 or 85 specifically, but I bought about a half a dozen of them. And y'all know me, I chose the absolute 969.8s amongst them. But also around that same time, there was that one-shot Turtles book, the Raphael book, and I bought 3 or 4 or 5 of those. I don't recall how many specifically. And I sold all of those books in the 90s at some local Harrisburg conventions. Got virtually next to nothing for them, but it is what it is. And I will tell you about another independent title that was generating some heat. And of course, nothing really became of it. And I suppose it's really only remembered nowadays by old-timers like me with any kind of affection or whatever. It was something called Fish Police. The Fish Police. And again, it was around that time that the Turtles books were just becoming blazing hot and all that. So I bought a couple of copies of Fish Police #1. Again, I sold them at some local Harrisburg cons back in the early to mid-90s. It is what it is. Good Lord. Yes. Well, okay. Couple of more things from... Let me just take a look here. From the late 90s. Yeah, here's one. This was around Superman's 50th anniversary. Greatest Superman stories ever told. Yeah, the hardback. It's got my signature and my old stamp in there. And I traveled to the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. at the time to view their collection celebrating Superman's 50th anniversary. Here's another hardback of the time, Superman at 50. But I went to the Smithsonian to view that collection. Got some great photos. I remember it well. I even bought the blue T-shirt with the big Superman crest on it, and it says underneath the crest, you know, the Smithsonian 50th anniversary of Superman. Something else, very quickly. Batman Year One. Frank Miller, you know, he had done the Omega of the Batman, and now he was doing the Alpha. And with the astonishing artwork of Alex Toth, this is another series that, if you younger collectors out there don't know it, you need to get right on top of it, because it is indeed one of the highlights of the entire 1980s. And opinions aside, yeah, my opinion, got it. But take my opinion aside, and it is unquestionably one of the greatest comic events of the 1980s. And trust me, this thing was hotter than the sun when it premiered. Again, this is just the hardback. And finally, for the Swamp Thing, if you want the trades, you have to get these two to start things off. It's the way it works. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. And the amazing, revolutionary art by Steve Bissett and John Totleben. Folks, again, you youngsters that have not seen this thing, artwork aside from what I'm showing you, it is literally the stuff of nightmares. Oh my God. Swamp Thing off the rack Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, Stephen Bissett, and John Totalman off the rack was simply one of the most insanely intense comic book experiences of my entire life. And I kid you not, I can still go back and read these books now. And I remember in my youth just being blown away by the absolute magnificence of it. I, of course, even kept on buying the book after it went to direct sale only with number 60. And, of course, followed it all the way through to Alan Moore's final issue. Anyway, after those kind of like atomic bomb drops from Frank Miller and Alan Moore, Daredevil, The Dark Knight, Batman Year One, and then Moore's Swamp Thing and Watchmen, the stuff that came after it in the late 80s just paled by comparison. And of course, everyone was trying to be as profound and as incredible as Frank Miller and Alan Moore, and they all failed. They all just bloody failed. That's just the way it is. They all just failed. Couple of decent tries, but they all failed. And I sensed that failure. I wasn't feeling it. But I'll get a little more into that in my next videos, because I'm going to get into where this kind of leads into my getting away from buying new titles off the rack, revamping my back issue buying by getting into the Joe Koch Warehouse wholesale stacks. And there's going to be several parts about all that, I'm sure. But anyway, and I know I'm forgetting all kinds of stuff here. And I'll have to get back, in later videos when after I review all these chronology videos and start making notes on all of the stuff that I missed. But I am a one-take guy, and this is what it is. I hope you enjoyed it. It was wonderful recalling all these fabulous memories of the time. I was a young adult, and these books were just blowing my mind. The Dark Knight, Batman Year One, Swamp Thing, Watchmen. Incredible. Incredible, incredible, incredible. So, stick with me. Thanks for watching. I'll be back real soon. Bye-bye.